Okay, I think we're good to go. Are you?
I'm just waiting for it to go.
Oh, okay.
It should be like in a few seconds.
Sure.
Okay, you're good to go.
Okay, great. Hello for those of us here at Loyola and on CUTV, and welcome to the 2024 CSU election debate. My name's Callum Ellis-Meny. I'm the DEO. I'm going to start by just laying some ground rules. So I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes to speak. I'll ask a question. You get 2 minutes to answer the question. Someone will pass the mic to you, and you can go. And then after that, I want to give everyone 1 minute if they want to respond to someone else, kind of a 1-minute rebuttal that you don't have to do, only if you are so inclined. And other than that, just please be respectful. Don't cut anyone off while they're talking. Only speak when it's your turn. And then I'd also like to have some questions from the audience. There's a minor audience, and if anyone wants to participate, feel free. But I will indicate the moment when that is allowed. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to start. Yes?
Can responses be in the form of questions, or do they have to be responses?
Well, because I'm just giving one chance for rebuttal, I'd say probably not. I'd say please just,
Okay.
just keep it to something that can be finished in 1 minute without further rebuttals, 2 rebuttals.
Sounds good.
It's just an opportunity to, if someone's mentioned something that you'd like to talk about, or maybe challenge something, for you to say what you like. Okay, great. So do we have the mic up for candidates? Yes, okay. So first I'm just going to say, just please introduce yourself, what position you're running for, and maybe just give me a little overview of what you'd like to do. I'm going to come back to that for the next question, but just to start, I'd like to hear everyone's name and what they're running for.
Hi, everyone. It's on. Hello, everyone. My name is Daya Yunus, and I'm running for the position of sustainability. I would really like to run for this position, and I think I'm a good fit for it, as I have lots of ideas and I've done lots of reading and research on the current transitional housing project. I have some ideas that I'd love to implement in that as well. And also just to have a safe campus and a place where everyone feels comfortable to come to the student council or to the CSU and be able to ask questions without feeling any form of judgment or shame or embarrassment, and just be there for everyone to have a welcoming campus, hopefully. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lina Al-Hijjawi, and I am currently running for Loyola coordinator. I believe that I am the best fit for this role, as I am really good at coordinating and have amazing experience in coordinating, and I have amazing skills as well, not just coordinating. I know that Loyola is such a beautiful campus, but I know that it's not the same as the Sir George William campus, because the students here are more isolated, especially at the fact that there are international students here that might feel a bit lonely, and other students as well that feel lonely. I want to be able to make it a very fun, a nice atmosphere, somewhere where they don't feel isolated from us, somewhere where they feel like it's just the same as being at the downtown campus, as well as providing them with stuff that they need. If there's anything that needs to be changed around the Loyola campus, I would be more than happy to listen to the suggestions of the students and hopefully make it a much more beautiful campus than it already is. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Suad Al-Farjani. I'm running for the finance coordinator. I think I'm a good fit for this position because I'm a JMSB student in supply chain operations management, so I already took a lot of finance and commerce classes. I also work in finance, so I already work in finance, so I know a lot about financial budgeting and how money works. My goal is to finance, to work better with our budget, to know where can I make cuts in the money that we have. And yeah.
Hi everyone, my name's Kareem Rahman. I'm running for the position of General Coordinator. I'm currently the Finance Coordinator. I've been for the last year, which is why I'm running for this role. It's no surprise that CSU had its fair share of dealing with external problems this year. And whether luckily or unluckily, I've been able to help deal with those problems and be at the forefront of some of them. The solutions, that is, not the problems. I look forward to continuing doing that because I think it's really strong to have that sense of continuity going into another year, especially knowing that these problems are going to continuously persist, as well as just keep maintaining relationships with the university, maintaining good relationships with the services, making sure they're performing optimally so that our students are served as well as to the best that we can serve them, and overall just improve their student life. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Dania Zaytoun and I'm running for the internal coordinator position. I think I'm best fit for this role because I've worked as an internal in previous student advocacy groups in campus, and I have actually worked with my slate before, and I think that I'm able to bring our team a lot closer and better, and would be able to work a lot better as a team, facing anything that could happen in the CSU. And yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Mohamed Hajouj. I want to run for Student Life Coordinator. The main reason I want to run for this executive position especially is because I want to focus on bringing in more diversity and inclusion on campus. I want it to be a safe environment for all people, international students as well, from any walks of life, religions, faiths, beliefs. I want them to feel like they have a space on campus. I want them to feel like they could come to us, the Impact Slate, and be able to speak their mind respectfully as well, and with us being able to hear them out, and just overall make this campus a more engaging and more vibrant campus for all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I'm running as the sustainability coordinator with Rocking the Boat. And I've decided to run this year because I've noticed in my current role as the sustainability coordinator that there are a lot of changes and a lot of improvements that could be done this year. And I have a lot of ideas and things that we can improve on. Some include, but are not limited to, obviously, yes, the transitional housing, but then there's also the role of the sustainability coordinator being reformed in and of itself, because it is long known that the sustainability coordinator mandate is very wishy-washy and flowy. So there's a lot of room for making it new and improved and for adding things to it, especially pertaining to the fact that oftentimes it's understood as being a position that is only concentrated on environmental justice. And while that is true, and while I do have plans about environmental justice for the next year, I also believe that in the new world that we find ourselves in, we also have to think about community sustainability and social sustainability, just basically supporting students in a sustainable manner, making sure that the growth of the CSU as a company, not as a company, but as a nonprofit and as a union is sustainable and in all aspects pertaining to supporting the students. So yeah, that's why I'm running.
Hi all, my name is Melissa Spiritigliozzi, pronouns she, her. So I'm an undergraduate student in the Faculty of Arts and Science. My major is Community, Public Affairs, and Policy Studies, and I'm also minoring at the Simone de Beauvoir Institute in Women's Studies. So drawing from my academic background, something that really stood out to me and also other classmates of mine is the significant gap between what Bell Hooks says is between theory and practice. So we show up to school and we're learning all these theories about how to make a change in our communities, and then there's always these questions about how to do that authentically and in a very concrete way. And so that's something that has inspired some of my work on an independent level. I've been drawing from that in promoting some student engagement activities, such as Feminist Futures in Law, where we were kind of having this networking space where students can show up with their questions, demystifying the field of law, and in doing so, thinking about how to contend with the systems that we're inherently in a way that's feminist, decolonial, and anti-racist. And so drawing from that experience as well, I've also been doing other panels like Growing Grass and Gravel, where we're kind of bridging this gap between students and communities and putting them in touch with community organizations working to make change on combating gentrification. And yeah, you might have also seen me around working with the Center for Gender Advocacy and on the University Senate. And so through these experiences that I hope to bring to the academic and advocacy coordinator with this slate, we're hoping to make changes and advocate for the student voice. Thank you.
I have to get closer up to with this mic. Don't know if I can undo that or not. So hi everyone. So my name's Alexandra. I'm running for general coordinator this year. So what brings me to running for this role this year is, as some of my members have already talking about, Rocking the Boat is about really looking at a kind of broader vision of restructuring for the CSU, what the CSU can be in the future, not just what it has been in the past, with all of its, of course, some great strengths, but a lot of weaknesses. So I guess I'll just throw some concrete aspects of our platform out there. When we talk about restructuring, we don't just mean doing it willy-nilly. One of the ways we want to do that is doing it through developing a consultative body that would be for a large amount of student input, so some sort of advisory body before going into into the restructuring. Moreover, with faculty associations, I think it's time to bring the faculty associations back closer to the CSU, and to do that, we'd like to create a roundtable to allow for that more consistent and ongoing dialogue. I've had the opportunity to be able to work within student unions in the past and within a variety of nonprofits where I've had the opportunity to restructure, not just on paper policy, but also seen through the implementation of restructuring some nonprofits and boards. So just quickly, some of the experiences I've had in the past, whether that's through my experience as deputy chairperson and then later president of the Dawson Student Union, but also when I had the opportunity to work at the government of Quebec, specifically in the portfolios of fight against poverty, equity and diversity, social solidarity, the LGBTQ community, and as well as the portfolio for persons with a disability. This has allowed me to really get to know a lot of nonprofits in the area around Concordia. So.
You can keep the mic, actually.
Sounds good.
I'm going to give you a little more time because this question is kind of might be covering some of the same ground, and we'll just go back this way.
Sounds good.
So I'd like to get more specific with actual things that you, as a member of the CSU, either executive or council, intend to do while you're on the CSU. What specific issues are you interested in addressing? And why do you think both you're the person to do that and the CSU is the place to do that? And so I'll start once again with you, and maybe you can expand on some of what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my past experiences, prior to the CSU and then going into the CSU, I had the opportunity to work with a large amount of student associations across Quebec and across Canada. I've been on inter-association committees representing hundreds of thousands of students on various issues at the provincial level or even at the federal level. And I've heard a lot, particularly amongst the Montreal universities, about how practices of direct democracy have been implemented at other student unions. But I often receive the criticism, whether internally working with students who are, especially as we know, we have a wide amount of GAs going around these days at Concordia, and it's through a lot of those internal conversations, even at Concordia, not just externally, that I'm hearing students say, where's the direct democracy at the CSU? Where do we get the opportunity as students to, engage with the CSU? Let's take the example of the annual General Assembly. Do students have the opportunity to put motions on the agenda? Do students have the opportunity to really voice and engage on an ongoing basis, really? Oftentimes students look at our bylaws and think that, it's intimidating and it's bureaucratic and there's a lot of red tape, and I hear this constantly. So I think I think it's due time. Basically, yes, we are a big union, but being a big union doesn't have to come with a whole lot of red tape and making it intimidating, if not impossible, for students to engage with. So that's fundamentally one aspect. The other aspect also with working with the faculty associations is because the faculty associations, by extension of working with their member associations, are sort of closer to the ground with their students. That's another element of bringing in that sort of direct engagement with students at the CSU. It's important to remember the CSU represents 37,000 students, notwithstanding the incoming enrollment cuts. But currently, as of this year, that's the amount of students we represent. And so we have to find a way to incorporate them.
All right. So in my introduction, I spoke a little bit about advocating for the student voice. And one way that we as a Slate Rockin' the Boat is hoping to do that, as Alexandra mentioned, is through instilling this direct democracy, and in doing so, creating more space for students to be involved also on Senate, which I'm also involved on at the moment. And through that space, another key aspect of the mandate I'm applying for academic and advocacy coordinator as sitting on Senate is to really put pressure on the university's governing bodies to really take the student voice seriously, particularly as it concerns the ongoing movement for against tuition hikes. And also drawing from my independent experience in organizing student engagement activities, I'm hoping to continue doing so through the CSU and building my capacity to do so, particularly as it concerns creating events where students can actually see themselves represented and where they can also connect with people who are like-minded and who share their values for social change. And so on that note, I'm going to pass the mic along. Thank you.
So in terms of some more specific things regarding my campaign, I would like to just kind of go into what I understand as social sustainability and community sustainability. So in my time working here in the last year, I have seen the direct fallout of what happens when a government directly undercuts students and when enrollments drop and when the university does not have the same capacity for funding anymore. And so avenues within which students would go to get funding for their grassroots initiatives and for their events and for their activism are now being undercut. And now is the time to do this at the CSU because Concordia cannot do this anymore. Whether or not it's some of their fault or not, or whether or not it's the CAC, that we can discuss that further later. But the reality of the matter is that the CSU is in a position where we can help students get funding, we can help students get housing, we can help students get bursaries, and I would like to just speak quickly on the bursaries. It's such an archaic process. It takes months. I would like to kind of update it and just get it like fresh and new. I would like for it to be a quick process so that the students can submit their application and know within a month, max a month and a half, whether or not they got it, and then get their funds. So I think, yeah, it's just high time for like a big change and a big restructuring. And I think that's what we mean by that.
So kind of back to what I was speaking to about before, is that as student life coordinator, and I believe as Impact as well, we really want to focus on the diversity of Concordia. I've been on council for a year, right? We've all had experiences on campus. I've had racist experiences myself, and it felt very comforting knowing someone in CSU is someone who can understand and relate to me being a person of color or being a minority as well. So I think what I want to do as student life coordinator is I want to develop that more. I want to have all students be able and comfortable enough to come to the CSU and say what is wrong with them. Let us know what we can help them with. Let us know how we can help them. Just like Maria said, transitional housing and stuff like that. That is something we could, as a CSU, help all students, diverse, international, from wherever you are. We do represent 37,000 undergrad students, just like Alexandra said. So I feel like to accurately be able to represent 37,000 students, we do need to be a diverse group of people in the CSU, being able to represent people from different walks of life, different beliefs and different faiths. Being in council, again, I do believe I saw a lot of how that is very beneficial. From Kareem, from Tanu, who are current execs, being able to voice an opinion that may differ from other people because they come from different walks and different beliefs. One of the things I want to do for student life coordination specifically is I want to host more events to introduce people to different cultures and different religions and different walks of life, because I do believe the biggest issue is education. And when people are more educated on someone's religion or someone's ethnicity, they're less likely to be fearful of it, which is most of the time the root of why there is racism or aggression towards minorities, is they're fearful of something, of the unknown, fear of the unknown. So being able to educate the student body, being able to represent them as a whole, as the entire undergrad student body, is what I vouch for and I really, really want to do, as well as my slate Impact. Thank you.
So for internal, I'd love this year to, first of all, have a stronger united front with my team at the CSU in case anything was to happen to them, as I've heard of a lot of issues that could sometimes come to the CSU. And I'd love to be able to have a lot more team building activities, just to be able to have a stronger united front in front of the university as well. And I'd also love to enforce the positions book onto the clubs, as it's not currently. And I know that the positions books has the ideas of the CSU and their ideals and everything, and I would love to enforce that onto the clubs this year. I'd also love to have a better relationship with the clubs going on in Concordia right now, and being able to move processes a lot easier for them, and to have things work a lot better for the clubs in Concordia at the moment.
Okay. So last year I had a lot of experience, as I said, working on a bunch of issues that plagued the CSU, namely some issues with our insurance, as well as some issues that you might have seen in the news or maybe the newspaper, any place like that. It's taught me a lot in how to deal with this, but more so how to enable your team. Obviously, in situations like this, it's quite stressful for not just the person who it's being targeted towards, but also everyone on the team, because it's really important for the CSU to function optimally that every single person understands that they're a part in a machine that needs to properly function to help the students. And so for me, the role of general coordinator is less so about doing projects or having a lofty goal. It's more so maintaining what's going on and enabling my team to be the best that they can be. This year I've tried to do that with my current team, whether that be taking on roles when they're unable to, or helping them out wherever I can, or just simply being there for them. And I plan to continue doing that with this team because I know that they have a lot of experience working with each other. On top of that, obviously maintaining relationships with the university, extremely important. It's been, I can't remember the last time that Concordia and the CSU have worked together as much as this year. The tuition hikes movement, Concordia was on top of it. Concordia, in as much as the CSU has done work as well, Concordia, I think we're not giving them enough credit for the things that they do in terms of filing this lawsuit and going through that entire process. It's something that takes months to do. And they're fully on board with the CSU and what they're doing. As a matter of fact, this week I connected some higher ups in Concordia to the CSU to enable some sort of collaboration for this movement. And I just plan to play that role going forward as well, to be the liaison between the students and the admin, as well as to be a good team player. Thank you.
So for me, as I said earlier, because I'm in finance, I'll be working mostly with the budget. I know Karim did already an amazing job, so I'll be following into his steps. It's going to be mostly budget managing, working on the transparency, so making sure all the money is going to where it has to go. I also had a couple ideas to maybe set like a teaching program to students about financial knowledge, because I spoke with a lot of students and I realized that a lot of them do not know how finances work in Canada, especially international students, because they're new to the country. Yeah.
So as for me, as I mentioned before, for coordinating in Loyola and everything, I truly do believe that when you're an international student, I'm an international student, and I sometimes feel a bit isolated. And when there's an event on campus, or when I have food offered for me in a fridge where I can take home, which makes things 10 times easier for me, I feel like that really helps students feel involved or feel like they're not alone. And I've always heard that people in Loyola feel a bit isolated because they don't always have events over here, and the campus in downtown is the one that's preferred, the Sir George William one. And so I really want to plan fun events. I want to make sure that students, if they feel like they need more of like food supply, let's say, or anything at all here that they feel the need to have that they don't have over here, I want to make sure that they have that, and I want to make sure that they have a fun and a nice and welcoming atmosphere over here, because I really do think it's a shame to not have events here and for people to not come here, because it truly is a beautiful campus. But I just feel like we need to maybe excite them a bit more, encourage them to come here more by planning events and so on and so forth. And so that's my plan, not just this, but other stuff. And yes, thank you.
So something I'm very eager about that I've been talking about repeatedly is the transitional housing project. And after doing some of the reading on it, I think it is a very, very helpful, beneficial project for the university and for the students at the university. And I do think that it has the potential, even after phase 2 that Maria proposed, to go even further and to be a long-term project that Concordia can hopefully keep for years to come. This would include finding long-term secure funders or like financial aid. I was also thinking of having complementary services that help students, such as not just finding apartments, but moving them out of homelessness, and also having job training and mental health counseling, as well as more access to healthcare resources, so that they are set if they do get out of that rough spot that they are in, specifically international students who are coming, because it is very evident that that is the majority of people who are having more of a difficult time with this. So if there is something I could do to ensure long-term stability for this, it would be something that I'd be very eager to work on, and hopefully have Concordia continue with this for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, myself.
Callum, she has her
Oh yeah, sure, go for it. That was good.
thank you. I'll just wait for the timer. I like to look at it.
Do 2 minutes again, but just be mindful of keeping it.
Okay, I can do 2 minutes.
1 minute.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That's what I thought. Okay. I would like to clarify that the transitional housing has the housing search director who already helps move tenants out of houselessness and provides them mental health services and basically does job hunting with them, does CV building with them, links them with other resources, and pretty much checks in with everybody that comes in and out of the transitional housing following 3-4 months after they actually exit the transitional housing. So that is already in place and that will continue to be in place. Another thing is that it is not very public knowledge, the transitional housing. I have not published a lot of things on it. There's just one Concordia link article. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
Does anyone else have a rebuttal?
Does it have to specifically be to that point?
Nope. Just anything we've talked about so far, and my first 2 questions.
Sure, yeah, I have one.
Okay. Just bearing in mind, there's
1
only
minute.
one per person. And,
Oh, okay, I'll pass on it then. I'll wait.
Oh, not in total, just for this round. Okay. Anyone else?
Can we ask anyone?
Sure. No, it's not questions. It's in response
Okay.
to anyone.
I'd like to take the opportunity while we're on the topic of transitional housing to say that I think Maria is very humble. You know, her way of saying it is there's not a lot of information out there, but I'll be more specific. This is something that it's not a lot of information out there because it's brand new and it's something that she's been pushing since the beginning of her mandate. To give an idea of the extent of her involvement, Maria was the one in the summertime going and buying furniture, like sweeping these apartments, you know, cleaning these apartments with her bare hands, bringing in the furniture herself, you know, doing all of that hard labor, implementing the project, you know, the thinking, bringing the extension of the pilot phase, working on getting the funding, working on getting a permanent staff member because there was not a permanent staff member on that. I really do think that she's been a bit humble, so pardon my intervention.
I don't think that's it, but we have to make it speak.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree. Maria's done a good job at this. And I think where Dara was coming from was more so she wants to see it continue in the long run. The housing search director was something that was proposed by Sean a while back. The chains of that dated back, so that is something that Sean proposed back in the day, along with the transitional housing project. And yeah, she has done a good job in starting it, getting it off on its feet. But ultimately, it doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be the person to carry it on. If you're managing a project, you know you've done a good job when someone can take it over, and that project won't die if you're not there. If that's what you're saying, that means that something was done wrong on your end. Because as it is right now, there's a manager that does everything for it. Also to the effect that Maria did this as in going above and beyond. As she herself said, the sustainability mandate is pretty wishy-washy. And so she sort of had to do this at the start of the year to kick something off. I think I'm out of time. Unfortunate.
Okay, thank you. And does anyone in the audience at this point have a question for any or all of the candidates? No? Okay, I'm gonna, yeah.
I would like to ask, what is the #1 priority for both slates? So maybe the general coordinators could answer.
Okay, great. So we'll
I'll go
do
first.
2 answers for those running for general coordinator. And you'll have 2 minutes.
So in our, you know, of course in writing, it's easier to go into the details. We have a limited to 2 minutes here. So, and you're asking for the #1 priority. It's hard to pinpoint. We've talked about a lot. in our platform. You know, we have a lot to specify, to go into details for, and we look forward to doing that as the campaign period goes on. But if I had to pinpoint one thing, and it's a little bit difficult to do, but when we talk about restructuring, I don't want restructuring to sound just like an empty buzzword. I think it's about bringing students back into the union again, so that they have, so in other words, student participation is really at the heart of the restructuring. And so I think that's ultimately, if we had to choose one without going into further detail, that's probably what we're really about. You know, rocking the boat. Yes, we want to put some pressure on the university to do, you know, for example, for Senate is a great example, and reforming that. But again, that's for the students. That's for the students who, you know, deserve to be involved in these bodies. I mean, these bodies are not private bodies. These are public bodies, and students frankly never show up to these. And it's no fault of the students. It's not. I think it's the fault of the administration. I think it's the fault of the you know, there are of course many variables. We did go through almost a 4-year pandemic going on 5 years. You know, there's many variables, but it's about restructuring is really about, and you know, bringing reform. It's about bringing students back to that, so that students can really, so that the CSU is actually reflecting students, and not, you know, not the CSU from 20 years ago, because things just don't get kind of updated and renewed. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. So our slate's main focus is creating a more inclusive campus, as well as promoting a better climate on campus. Right now, like I said in the last debate, there's no surprise. It's pretty tense on campus right now for people of color, for almost every student, honestly. It doesn't matter where you come from. It is a pretty tense campus. And how we're going to solve that is, one, creating a platform that allows students to come voice their concerns in a respectful way. We want to encourage discussion. We want to encourage debate and not shy away from it. We want students to say what they feel, as long as it's respectful. Because anytime we try to silence these students, or we try to tell them that they can't do these things, or they can't act on these views they have that are very close and very dear to them, that's when we start getting high variance, and that's when these events starts happening that the CSU doesn't know about or Concordia doesn't know about, and then we're on the news after that. So very much so, the main mission of our slate is to promote a safer, more welcoming, more inclusive campus for every single student at Concordia. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, please.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so this is for the GCs that are running. So part of the GC's role is to like foster a good sense of teamwork within the team. And so since both of you are rerunning, what have you done within your current team to foster that sense of teamwork and collaboration?
So I think I agree that the GC's role is very much to kind of help, you know, it's a little bit implied in the title, whereas all the other coordinators have a more specific word. The general coordinator is there to implement the, you know, the will of council, to represent the students, and in doing that, you know, making sure that that the whole team is doing that as well. And of course, those mandates are given to us by the students. So I definitely do agree that that's the general coordinator's role. I think as academic and advocacy, my work has been, you know, academic and advocacy is predominantly a management position. I don't mean to say that in a dry way. It's not that I mean to make the position sound dry. It's the reality of having roughly 30 employees within the portfolio. You know, a lot of my time is spent with those employees. A lot of my time is bringing those employees' concerns to the executives, or working with, for example, the role of general manager. I know not a lot of people know about having our general manager or other sort of upper management at the CSU. But so, you know, in this past year, I've worked very hard. You know, I talk on a weekly, if not daily basis with, for example, well, obviously the staff, of course, but the upper management as well, trying to really, you know, I think everyone can appreciate how difficult it is, like for staff to feel that they have a good workplace, that they feel like they get along, that they feel like they are protected and represented by the executives. And so I think that as academic and advocacy, that's really been my role. I think that's what I've contributed is really representing the staff to the executives, and that's what I focused on primarily. Yeah.
Thanks again for the question. So, yeah, I think teamwork is perhaps the most important part of the GC's role. More than that, it's a really important part of every single executive's role. If everyone were to be voted into a position where they're supposed to take care of 37,000 students and be paid over $40,000 a year to do that, and they're just saying that they should focus on the 4 things that the policy tells them to focus on, I think that's pretty telling as to how much that person cares about the actual students. I think the role of general coordinator, it is super, super important to encourage every single person on your team to enable each other. And throughout this year, I've done that by whether it is helping out with events. I've taken over the newsletter to ease things on the student life platter. We've taken heat from clubs to help the internal coordinator. I've helped Harley in his role when I can. And likewise, they've all helped me whenever I was stressed or whenever I had classes, because at the end of the day, we're still students, and it's about being there for each other. And I think before this election, if you were to ask anyone on my team if I was a team player, I think every single person would have said yes, because I've made myself available to them, and I still continue to make myself available to all of them, and I will continue to do that with my team going forward. Thank you.
Great question. I don't know how I can put into words how disappointing it is. It was, the same turnout last year. It's the same turnout at a lot of events. The annual General Assembly last year barely made quorum, which is a low quorum at that. It's truly extremely disappointing. I think I alluded to earlier that there can be multiple factors. There's no reason to pretend like a pandemic forcing all students to being used to being online. Of course, that played a huge role, but ultimately, I do think we have to take responsibility. I do think that the CSU has to do more. I struggle to find another word other than disappointed, but I do think that it's been a culmination of factors, but it's been disappointing that the CSU, and I don't mean this year specifically, but over many years has not been able to re-engage students. It also just doesn't allow for trust. Like, if students don't know about our events, I frankly don't know how many students knew about our elections happening. A lot of the times when we're talking about the elections, it's news to them. And that can be said for a lot of initiatives. So I think we have to take responsibility for the history that we have as an organization, and that's the approach I'd like to take. Not that it was any specific year's problem, not that it was a specific council or executive problem or et cetera, but that it's historically now been an ongoing problem and been really dampening the reputation and the relationship with students, and that that there has to, I'm running out of time, but some of the changes we were speaking about earlier, I think, need to happen in order to help that.
Can I ask a clarifying question first? Are you speaking specifically about this room right now, or student participation in general? Right. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, I agree with everything Alexandra's just said. It is something that we know has been a problem, although I don't think that using the turnout for a debate is an accurate proxy of student representation. It still is somewhat related. Now, this is something that we knew coming in as a slate. I think the voter turnout for our slate was something like 11%, maybe even less than that, actually. So not great. And so we had that knowledge coming in, and I had set out to sort of improve that. I took over the newsletter. From then, let's say we use that as a proxy now, our engagement has gone up by 25% on the newsletter. Our social medias are getting more likes than before. Students are coming into our offices more. Students are emailing us, they know us, they recognize us in the hallways, they email us about their problems. These are the proxies that we should be using. Voter turnout, sure, that's also a good proxy you can use. It did go up in the by-election. It was something like 17%. Hopefully it'll go up again in this election, but it is something that we've known about and something that I've tried to fix last year. But like I said, it's not something that you can fix overnight, maybe not even 1 year. I'd like to think it's a culture thing rather than a marketing thing, because student unions are pretty, I guess they're pretty unique to me because I came from a place that it didn't exist. But to some of the students as well, a lot of people still don't know what the CSU is and what the CSU does. But the second they find out one thing about the CSU and they get pulled into that whole CSU ecosystem, they can't leave because they realize how beneficial it is and they realize everything that they do. So all we really want to do is sort of have that pull factor to get students introduced to the CSU next year, and then they can go through our entire pipeline and see what services they like, make the most out of it, because at the end of the day, they are paying for it, and we do want them to get the best service possible.
Okay, great. Maybe, oh yeah, do you have a rebuttal?
It's not a rebuttal. I would just like to speak on something.
Yeah, just one per person per question, but if it's pertinent to this question that's just been asked, feel free for 1 minute.
Yeah, so I appreciate that you mentioned that engagement has been up, and I think that a portion of that is the newsletter and all of the good work that the social media managers in the comms room have been doing. But I think that another portion of that is everything that has been going on this year in general, just like the climate at Concordia right now, just as well as all the strikes happening and all the work with the tuition hikes happening. So I believe that a lot of people are finding out more about the CSU specifically because of the amazing, great work that the campaigns department has been doing this past semester in regards with the tuition hike, and it has been bringing a lot of people through our doors. So I just wanted to speak on specifically the people that might have been, walking into our offices a lot more often.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have do you have something to say?
Oh, can I answer again?
Yeah, because you,
one per question?
yeah, you have the 1 minute to come back if you like.
Sure. Yeah, I actually, it's not really even a rebuttal. You can start the timer, by the way. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think the campaigns department has done a really, really good job at mobilizing students. Although I would say like we put out our first strike statement very recently. So I wouldn't attribute every single thing to that. Although, like I said, like there are different proxies for student engagement. This definitely could be one. But it was just to answer Julia's question, which was, how can we improve student engagement? And that's why I gave those different proxies as a measure.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I promise I won't take up a minute. I think even before the tuition hikes announcement and other large-scale news issues that I agree probably for the average student did bring a lot of visibility, because the average student, they come to class, they care about their family, they care about paying their rent. They're not necessarily always introduced directly to the unions. So I think probably through the news they did find out about these things. I think in October, that was the first time that the CSU had released a statement with SMU, McGill's student union, in a very long time. I don't know when historically would have been the last time. It had trouble finding that in the media. But I think working with not only the other faculty associations, but the other schools, I think has really brought up that engagement. I just don't think that should be undermined.
I'll ask you to keep the mic. And I'd like to talk a little bit about where previous debate. It's a little lighter on attendance. And I'd like to ask what everyone, if anyone has specific Loyola plans, and how could you, in your portfolio, address the concerns? Yeah, this is for everyone. Okay. Yeah, we're back to regular questions for me, and this is for whoever wants to speak on it, whoever feels that it's pertinent to their portfolio. I think it probably is pertinent to everyone.
Should we pass it down? Should we raise hands?
No, let's just do the same as usual. If you don't want to talk, feel free to pass. And so I'll start with you. You can answer. What do you think could be done to maybe raise engagement at Loyola, especially with student politics, but engagement in general, community, sense of community?
It's such a good question. I think it's again not on the there's I think no ill intention on the part of student leaders, but just circumstantially, it's been so neglected. But I think people come into not just the CSU, but various associations every year with good intentions. This is kind of where the restructuring comes in. We have a Loyola coordinator at least for 10 years now. I don't know that the role as it's existed at the CSU, has it delivered results? That's not speaking about any individuals. That's speaking about the structure. I think the CSU needs to have basically a different approach, a different structure. So it's not left to one person. There is also a Loyola committee. It's a very small committee. We talked about how we want to make sure that there's multiple students at larges on committees and even more counselors on committees. Currently, there's roughly 3 counselors, 1 student at large. So Loyola is it's fundamentally up to 5 people to essentially bring the life of downtown to this residential neighborhood, to all the associations that are out here. I just think it hasn't worked, and there needs to be policy changes. There needs to be changes as to the implementation as well. Funny story is that I live closest to Loyola. I love coming here. I spend a lot of time here, especially when the weather's nice in the summer. I did not know there was a CSU office here, despite being very engaged in after I got into the CSU, yes, of course I knew. But despite being a very engaged student, I couldn't find the CSU office. I didn't know it existed. I'm actually on the board of CGLO, which is based out of Loyola. Couldn't even find the CGLO office for, far too long. So I think there needs to be a reinitiation with students, and I think working also with the people who are exclusively here, such as CGLO and the many other groups that are not based out of downtown, will be very beneficial to that.
All right, so Alexandra kind of touched on this a little bit. I'm going to expand on it, this notion of really bolstering those coalition building efforts is something that I personally would want to take on as academic and advocacy coordinator. I spoke a bit about the student engagement activities that I've done already and that I hope to continue doing, but also more specifically, before jumping the gun on those efforts, I want to really sit down with departments and student associations that are largely based here at Loyola to see what makes sense and what the interests are for students in these departments are, at least in the academic sense. And then from there, really developing initiatives that make sense within this context. And yeah, I ultimately think that this is a great opportunity to really, at least indirectly, really bolster this direct democracy effort that we're hoping to push forward as a slate. So thank you.
This is such a great question and so exciting. I think that one of the things is actually having CSU here at Loyola at least a couple days a week, maybe not every week, but a couple days a week, having either exec members or members of the services would be a good way to kind of help the campus and help the students on campus find the community again. Specifically this year, I actually worked on a series of events in collaboration with the Loyola coordinator. I was super excited about it. It was called fighting food insecurity, and we were doing basically like intro to how to sustain yourself. And so we did in November at like how Melissa was saying that we should do events specifically here with, oh no, you were saying that with CGLO, and so we did that with the Hive Co-op, and it was like a bread baking workshop, and it's continued from the fall to this semester. The Loyola coordinator has taken it over, and I would be very, very interested, and it would be super exciting for me to continue working on the food insecurity workshops. I think they're a great idea, and they get they bring events to Loyola, and they make people that are actually studying here every day at least a little bit excited to be here, because there's something to do in the evening, and it's fun, and they get to take whatever they make home. And that was, yeah, one of the fun things that I thought was really great for me this mandate, and for everybody else. Yeah.
I would like to kind of add something to what Alexandra says. I don't necessarily think that there should be a drastic change in the Loyola executive in itself. I think if there are some policies that would improve or be more efficient for the Loyola executive to operate in Loyola here itself, that would be beautiful and amazing to do. But I do believe that the standard for how the Loyola executive operates in itself has been set low in comparison to, let's say, GC, finance, external or internal. I think past Loyola executives have been way too comfortable doing the bare minimum with what they have, and they're not hungry enough or willing enough to change, because if it's about the budget or it's about the money, you can do anything with as little as you have. It's all about how much work you're willing to put into it and how willing you are to fight to do something, right? So yes, there may be some policies that should be changed to improve the Loyola executive role here on campus, as well as improve engagement here on campus. But I do believe that it starts with who the executive is first, and then what the policies are surrounding it. If the executive, Loyola executive to be specific, is willing to do the work, willing to work on change, willing to make their presence known here on campus, anything is possible. Like, the sky's the limit at that point. But I do believe that the standard for past Loyola executives, and I'm not speaking on anyone specific, has been set to the bare minimum in comparison to other executive roles, and that the standard should be higher, and that person running for that role should be fighting and should be willing to make change here on campus. That's one.
Okay, so my response to this, since I'm running for Loyola coordinator, I don't think you know me very well, obviously, but I am, if I'm being very honest, I'm a hustler, and I'm a very hardworking person, and I love to coordinate. I'm great at it. I completely agree with Mu'ad saying that I don't mean to talk about anyone in specific, but that they have been okay with setting the bare minimum. But I have a lot of things in plan that I want to achieve next year. I want to genuinely make, for example, nights where there's raffles, or nights where I sit and I talk to the students and I understand, what would you like to see in this campus? What would make you more comfortable? What would make you more excited to come here? And not just here, I want to do this to the students at downtown to encourage them to go to Loyola. I think that this is a beautiful campus, and I genuinely never see that there's such an exciting event, or there's something that would encourage me as a student to go there. Another thing that I am really excited to work on here is I would like to make a musalla over here, just like we have one in downtown. I really do think that we should have one here as well. And I have talked with multiple people who have said that they would love to have a musalla over here. And this is also something that would encourage a large amount of students to come here more often. I truly do think that I'm going to make a change. And I truly do believe that people are going to be way more encouraged to come here, hopefully, with the plans that I have set. And yeah, that's my plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Sounds all very exciting. Makes me very hopeful. I'd just like to clarify that in no way, shape, or form is rocking the boat promoting any sort of removal or like redaction of the Loyola coordinator position. I think what I was trying to emphasize more, especially, is like having larger committee. For one, as I think a lot of CSU committees could really do with many more members, especially when it's a lot, like you're saying, it's a lot of on the ground presence. I think the Loyola coordinator needs more support. There's a number of ways that can be done. I think that's also the beauty of having like a sort of consultative advisory body where the students can say, students who are here at Loyola, programs, there's some programs that are exclusively based at Loyola. So some students essentially never go to downtown, even if they are in the minority overall. And so I think hearing from those students about the type of support that the Loyola office, the Loyola coordinator could need, the CSU can put more resources towards that. Oh, great.
Okay, so we're nearing to the end. Are there any other responses to that question before? Yeah, you have a question?
Yes, so it's clear that the mandate and priorities of both slates are not exactly the same. So how will members from Rocking the Boat and vice versa, members from Impact, work together? Because there's a big possibility not all of Impact is elected and not all of Rocking the Boat is elected. So how will you come together with your differences?
Mm-hmm. Are we doing raising the hand?
Let's just, are you directing the question at GCs or anyone?
Well, it's a group effort, so anyone.
Okay, so I'll say could we start at this side and move this way, and same, or no, we started over here first. Let's start over here. Thank you so much. And if you don't want to speak, just pass the mic along.
So I think the student body should come first. By the end of the day, it's the students that are electing us. So whether they choose your entire slate or our entire slate or a mix of people, they chose us to basically work for them and represent them. So that should be the first priority. If we end up being a mixed group, we will sit down, we will discuss what we have as shared ideas. And if we have opposing ideas, we will work on it, discuss it, debate it, even obviously in a civil manner. We already, even though we share a united slate, we do have our opposing ideas, and we do discuss them, and we come out with one opinion by the end. So I think that should be the same case, even if the group is mixed.
So what I wanted to say is I 100% agree with Suad about this. I think that the students should always come first, and I think that anyone who truly wants to make a change and who is truly wanting to achieve something, I don't think it should really matter to them of who is obviously you care when people work with you. But I do think that it should be, I know that all of us are very much we know each other. And even if we don't know each other, we will get to know each other. And I think that's super important. I also do think that if everyone is always respectful and considerate of others' opinions and just it's okay for people to disagree basically, and everyone is okay with that. I think that it should be fine working with each other. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said so far, but also just organizationally, I guess, it would work out fairly simple because the way the executives are made up and the way their mandates are set and the way council directs what you do, it is very likely that you can have things running simultaneously. So it's not that if restructuring happens that we can't care about students. That's never going to happen. It's always going to be, it might just be that it happens simultaneously. not even to a lesser extent for any of them either. They can both coexist. And even if there were to be a mix, that's completely fine because like Lean and Swad just said, the people who are running, they're running because they want to do work for the students. And so at least we have that in common. And again, just because you're on a slate doesn't mean that all your political views align. This was a question that was asked in the last debate too. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're like copy pastes of each other with our political views and our stances or anything like that. So I don't really see it as being a problem. And if there were a problem, I think the CSU has a lot of measures built into it that kind of helps alleviate that and guides you as to how you should act and how you should not act.
I believe, or at least I hope, that all of us here are running for like similar reasons to make an impact. You know, pun, we're impact. So we're running to make an impact on our campus, on our university. I think when I speak for our slate, most of us are first and second years. And what drew us to want to run as execs or as council is that we've seen things that we personally want to change. And I'm going to be very honest, whether it's with some people from Rock the Boat or not everyone from slate, I want to focus on what my goals are for the exec role I'm willing. And if that means I have to work with other people that I may disagree with, that's 100% fine, because my goal is to make an impact that will last after I leave, right? My goal, or at least my slate's goal, and I think Rock the Boat as well, goal is that we want to help the students at the end of the day, whether that be with me and someone I don't like or someone that doesn't like me, I'm fine. As long as the students at the end of the day benefit from me being in CSU.
Sorry. Actually, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. This is the whole reason why we were fine with not being a complete slate, because we had faith and we knew that fundamentally we all have the same core values. We're all rooted in anti-racism, anti-colonialism beliefs. And we all ultimately kind of want the same things. And it is true, to Kareem's point, that we can work towards more diversity and we can work towards fostering a better campus for international students, while also getting committees, more students at large, and working on restructuring the roles. And yeah, the restructuring the roles wouldn't take a month. It would take a whole mandate. Bringing more diversity on campus would also take a long time. Obviously, I think even after we leave, that will always be an ongoing struggle. We are Montreal and we are diverse and we are proud of it. And I think it's great. And I think that differences are great. And I think that we can all be the better for it. And the CSU, that's why it exists. It exists to just be there for every single student. All of you culturally make up a portion of the students. All of us culturally make up a portion of the students. And that is great for all the students. So I'm actually not fearful of the mix-up at all. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so echoing points that have already been made by members of the Impact Slate and of my colleague Maria, I don't think that these two slates are inherently incompatible beyond our goals having the potential to occur simultaneously. I actually believe that this value of direct democracy is also a vehicle for ensuring that these changes of ensuring representation and having more welcoming campuses can happen. It's precisely in creating spaces where students are able to show up and where these spaces are accessible that diversity can happen. And furthermore, at least internally, again, these values of direct democracy inherently means drawing out the minority opinion. And so that's something that at least I personally can use in just ensuring that all voices are heard at the table, in making sure that we're all on the same page with where and how we want to move forward.
Yeah, I I'm not even in the least bit concerned because as I think a lot of people have been essentially suggesting, I have a love for student democracy. This is fundamentally what democracy is about. I know at the CSU that there's been quite a few years of acclamations, like uncontested positions, but it shouldn't necessarily be taken for granted that that's the norm. There's a lot of schools, McGill, for example, where executives don't run as a slate. Executives are all independent. And what that causes, is arguably a richness. And I think that that's exactly what will happen here. I really think that, it is, I think it should be typical to have many students running for the same position, not just two, but and 3 or 4. I've been in rooms of debates where the rooms are full, and then the candidates' floor is full, and there's 4 or 5 people going for one position, and that's how you end up with a richer group in the end, because you end up bringing a piece of the student body with each person, and that's more representative in the end. So I'm actually very excited. As Marie suggested, we're not a full slate. Therefore, we have the expectation that we will be working with some of these members. And that's awesome. I think all the students will all be all the better for it.
You want to further respond to that? Okay, great. Well, I think we'll wrap up because we started a bit late and now we're a little over. So thank you everyone who did.
Can I add just something? It's not about any question, just in general.
Okay, if you want to use your 1 minute for that.
I'm going to take advantage of this time because it's like the last minute of the last debate. So I just want to say that for Impact, we're a hungry group. Like, we're looking for change, right? Out of the 8 members, only 1 has been a past exec. All of us are new to this. All of us are looking to make a big difference and have felt comfortable enough to come to Kareem, who's very knowledgeable in this. He's worked very well. I've known him on council. He does amazing work on council. So we felt very comfortable coming to him and asking him to be in our slate, to be RGC. But we are a very hungry group. We're all new to Concordia, 1st or 2nd years. We're all looking to make a difference that will last, because we're going to last here, right? We're not graduating next year or the year after that. We're going to stay here for 3, 4, hopefully not 5 years, but we're going to last here. So we're not doing this as a job and then like I'm leaving the year after. We're doing this as something that we work on next year, and hopefully once we're done, another exec can come in and keep the work going, and then we can see what we've built together as a slate. That's it.
Does anyone else want to use a 1 minute to wrap up? If they like, just I allow that.
Thank you for allowing it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I mean, I don't.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you so much once again. And thank you for the invite. I'll ask you to stick around for 1 more sec because I'd like you to just repeat your name and your position. Yeah, that's great. So very quickly, go ahead. Thank you so much.
My name is Alexandra Cardona, and I'm running for general coordinator.
My name is Melissa Spiritigliosi, and I'm running for academic and advocacy coordinator.
My name is Maria, and I'm running for sustainability coordinator. I'm sorry, I'm not saying my last name. It's very complicated. I still haven't figured it out. But yeah, on rocking the boat.
Hi, my name is Mada Hajouj. I'm running for student life coordinator with Impact.
Hi, I'm Dani Zaytoun. I'm running for the internal coordinator with Team Impact.
Hi, I'm Kareem Mohammed. I'm running for general coordinator with the slate Impact.
Hi, I'm Saad Al-Farjani. I'm running for finance coordinator with this Team Impact.
Hello, I'm Lina Al-Hijjawi, and I'm running for Loyola coordinator with my amazing team Impact.
Hello, my name is Dara Yunus, and I'm running for sustainability coordinator with the amazing Team Impact.